As we approach to the end of second millennium, we find ourselves overwhelmed by the complexities unprecedented in human history. Today, mankind has the capacity to produce far more information than anyone can absorb, to foster far greater interdependency than anyone can manage, and to accelerate change far faster than anyone's ability to keep pace. Parallel to this unprecedented labyrinth of complexity, we have a myriad of systematic dysfunction, each with its own ecological, economic, and social dimensions without simple cause or solution. This has led to evolution of new concepts, including that of sustainable development, as a basis for overcoming the environmental challenges. Environmental crisis and sustainable development have a large impact in economy. There are struggles in some other countries where climate change affects their way of living, where the economy spends a lot of funding to sustain the economy. Environmental crisis is a life-threatening where species are going extinct, rainforests and coral reefs are declining. Pollution caused by man is hunting the entire planet, and the global temperature are rising at an alarming state.
So the objective of this lesson to identify what are the causes of environmental crisis, how does it affect the globalization, to analyze and understand how to deal and solve the natural problems that cause environmental crisis. The keywords of this lesson first is environmental crisis, globalization, global warming, greenhouse effect, Malakhan, Tailing, and Gaborone.
Environmental crisis. Environmental crisis is a term for environmental problems that we commonly face today. This common example of environmental problems includes the greenhouse effect, which is the trapping of the warmth of the sun in the planet's lower atmosphere, and also global warming. It is the long-term shift in temperature and weather patterns, followed by ozone layer, acid rain, and tropical forest clearance. This environmental crisis is caused by pollution of air, land, and water through excessive deforestation, industrialization, and overfilling, which emit CO2 and add greenhouse gases emissions, are all the most cause of true environmental issues. Overall, humans had both the ability and responsibility to address these problems.
Defining sustainable development. First, let's define what is sustainable development. What do you mean by sustainable development? Sustainable development is a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. So, sustainable development is a type of development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. So the concept of sustainable development can be interpreted in a variety of ways, but as its core, it is a development strategy that seeks to balance various and sometimes contradictory needs against an understanding of the environmental, social, and economic dimensions.
These are the 13 ways to identify world-leading environmental problems. 1. The depredation caused by industry and transportation. The depredation caused by the industrial and transportation dumping of plastic in the ground. The defiling of sea rivers and waterbeds by oil spills and acid rain. The dumping of urban. 2. Changes in weather patterns. Changes in global weather patterns and surge in the ocean and land temperature, leading to a rise in sea level as the polar ice caps melt because of the weather, plus the flooding of many lowland areas across the world. 3. Overpopulation. Overpopulation is the state whereby the human population rises to an extent exceeding the carrying capacity of the ecological setting. In an overpopulated environment, the number of people must be more than the available essential for survival, such as transport, water, shelter, food, or social amenities. 4. The exhaustion of world national non-renewable resource of oil reserve to minerals to potable water. Exhaustion of mineral resource is the depletion effect which is manifested in the higher marginal recovery, causing carpet as the resource stock is depleted. For the example of mining, depletion effects occur because of lower grade ores are encountered as more of the resource is extracted. 5. The waste disposal catastrophe. Waste disposal problems include producing too much waste, most of which is toxic, landfill, have become challenging to manage, and we still rely on old technology. To reduce and recycle waste, some green label waste disposal technologies are not clean, and regulations are based on vested interest. 6. The destruction of million-year-old ecosystem. Destruction of ecosystem refer to the degeneration of the ecosystem through the depletion of national resources such as water, air, and soil. 7. The reduction of oxygen and the increase of carbon dioxide. Increasing the carbon dioxide and decreasing oxygen make it harder to deep sea animals to breathe. 8. The depletion of the ozone. Layer protection of the planet. The ozone layer is a thin shield of gas in the Earth's atmosphere that protect the planet, absorbing the sun's ultraviolet rays and helping to preserve all life on the planet. But the ozone layer is not immune to harmful human activities. A collection of human-made greenhouse gases known as ozone-depleting substances, including the chlorofluorocarbons that can be found in everyday products such as air conditioners, refrigerators, and aerosol fans, can be destroying the ozone layer. 9. Water pollution arising from industrial and community waste residue. The extraction of minerals by mining and drilling causes pollution of industrial water. Extraction and drilling operations render the land unusable agricultural activities, and any accidental leakage can escape into the surrounding water and enter the ocean. Oil spill can pollute land and sea. 10. Deadly acid rain. As a result of fossil fuel combustion, acid rain can be caused by chemical reaction that begins when compounds like sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide are released to the air. These substances can rise into the atmosphere where they mix and react with oxygen. Water and other chemicals compound acid polluted, therefore creating acid rain. 12. Pandemic and other threats to public health. Let's use COVID-19 as an example. The coronavirus pandemic highlights the need of comprehensive and integrated approach to the human health, enhancing environmental health through better air quality, water and sanitation, waste management along with efforts to safeguard biodiversity would reduce the vulnerability of communities to pandemic and thus improve overall societal well-being and resilience. Exposure to ambience and indoor air pollution increases the risk of cardiovascular, respiratory, and developmental disease as well as premature death and make individuals more vulnerable and quality to COVID-19. Protection are key to battling the spread of pandemic, while effective waste management is essential to minimize the secondary impacts upon health and the environment. 13. A radical alteration of food system. Food system has been central to recent unprecedented reductions in global poverty, hunger, and undernutrition, and will be the foundation of future progress. Yet, food is among the leading causes of our global health and sustainability crisis. Efforts to sustainability and hunger and malnutrition will depend on reshaping our food system. Radical and global changes, including rising anti-globalization, sentiment and emerging technologies both inside and outside the agriculture sector, are creating new challenges and opportunities. How these global trends are managed will be crucial in ensuring that food system can be delivered sufficient nutritious, affordable, and healthy food for all within the sustainability parameters of the planet.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Alexis Micaela Chicalias, and I will be discussing about man-made pollution. So, ano nga ba ang man-made pollution? Man-made pollution is when there are some physical, chemical, or biological changes occur due to man-made activities in our environment, which known as man-made pollution. So, in short, ang man-made pollution is isa na siya kabinuhatan sa tao nga nag-cause of pollution, which is naadiri ang water pollution, air pollution, and soil pollution. So, in Saudi Arabia is they have their sandstorm. So, tungod sa gakadaghan ng ilang mga sakyanan dito is gakadaghan pud ang toxic gases nga gaka-absorb nila. So, nag-cause siya og air pollution, which is ang ilang air is polluted na gid kayo tungod atong mga sakyanan nga gakadaghan pod. So, next is the Greenpeace India. Sa Greenpeace India is in 2015 is nakarana sila og makapal nga usok nga nag-cause po sila og pollution, which is dili na nila maklaro ang ilang lugar tungod sa makapal nga usok ato. So, next is the gold miner or copper on Dako is isa po ni sila sa mga sanhi sa pollution, which is tungod sa mga miners is ang ilang chemical nga ginagamit is gakapadulong dito sa tong water nga gakakos siya og water pollution. So, daghang gyud tawo ang apektuhan ani kay tungod labi na ang mga tawo nga walay kakayahan nga magpalit sa ilahang tubig, which is dito sila gakog tubig sa river or katong ginaagian sa mga chemical na gikan sa miner. So, isa po ni siya ka example sa water pollution. Next is the mahalangnan or mahalangkad is it is the biggest waste, which is ang mga basura daw nga gikan sa minahan is dako gid kay epekto sa health sa mga tao. And next is the West Region is mo ni siya ang pinakahugaw nga tubig, or if imong inuman is makahilo siya and makakos ni siya og death or mamatay ka if imo ni siyang imnon. So, as an individual is need you na to i-educate atong self og i-discipline nga sa gamay nga butang is like sa paglabay sa tuang basura, biskan asa ang paglabay sa pagsunog sa mga basura biskan asa is ato na gina siyang likayan aron ma-minimize na to ang ato ang pollution. Kay tungod kay kita ra gyapon aga ka-epektuhan aning pollution.
Defining climate change. Climate change refers to long-term shift in temperature and weather patterns. So one of the causes of climate change is global warming. Global warming is the result of billions of tons of carbon dioxide coming from coal-burning power plants and transportation, various air pollutants and other gases accumulating in the atmosphere. Next is the greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is responsible for occurring heat waves and long drought in certain places, as well as the heavier rainfall and devastating hurricanes and typhoon in others. One of the causes of greenhouse effect is the pollutant traps the sun radiation, causing the warming of the Earth's surface. 4 to 5 categories of typhoon, which are Super Typhoon Haiyan that hit the central Philippines in 2013. In the eastern United States, the number of storms had also gone up with Hurricane Katrina.
Combating global warming. Global warming is a gradual increase in the overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere
generally attributed to the greenhouse effect caused by the increased levels of carbon dioxide and other pollutants. In the past years, many countries implemented protocols to reduce greenhouse gases until now. To reduce global warming, we must make an action to reduce the global warming. An example of this is we can switch to renewable sources energy like solar and wind energy. Drive electric cars instead of those that burn fossil fuels, but implementing this in our country is not yet that close to happen because most of our vehicles used for transportation are using gas to burn, and not all the people can change into electric cars due to the expensiveness of electric cars.
On December 11, 1987, delegates from more than 150 countries signed the Kyoto Protocol, an agreement to lower the amount of greenhouse gases released into the atmosphere. Human activities release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which have been proven to cause climate change. In short, the Kyoto Protocol operationalizes the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change by committing industrialized countries and economies in transition to limit and reduce greenhouse gases emissions in accordance with agreed individual targets. The Kyoto Protocol was in fact doomed from its birth in 1997 because it did not encompass the world's largest and fastest growing economies. It excluded developing countries such as the People's Republic of China from binding targets, and the USA failed to sign up. Though the treaty has superseded the Paris Agreement, the Kyoto Protocol remains an important part of environmental and conservation history. United Nations, climate change. Perhaps no issue forces people to think about their role as citizens of the world than environmental degradation. Every person, regardless of his or her race, nation or creed, belongs to the same world. When one looks at an image of the earth, he or she will realize that he or she belongs to one world, a world that is increasingly vulnerable. In the fight against climate change, one cannot afford to simply care about his or her own backyard. The CO emitted in one country may have severe effects on the climate of another. There is no chance but to find global solution to this global problem.
So, in our conclusion, environmental crisis and sustainable development ay nagbibigay sa atin ng pagkakataon upang malaman ang dahilan or epekto ng pagkakaroon ng crisis sa ating environment. At upang din ito ay masolusyonan agad at mabigyan ng aksyon ang pagkakaroon ng crisis sa ating environment. And also, isa din ang globalisasyon sa may malaking epekto sa ating environment, na kung saan ito ay isang sanhi at solusyon sa ating environment. So, as a human being is we need na tumanawaan ang mga sanhi and epekto ng environmental crisis upang malaman natin sa ating sarili na dapat nating alagaan at protektahan ang ating kalikasan. Dahil tayo din naman ang maaapektuhan nito kung tayo ay magiging irresponsable sa ating sarili. So, we need na to educate ato ang self na masustain na to ang mga nakaka-apekto sa ating environment, which is gaka-cause siya og crisis. And yun lamang po at salamat po sa pakikinig.